Hi, everybody. Welcome to Free the Youth Africa. This is episode 1, and hopefully we're off to a great start. So before we get into anything, gents, I would like to open the platform to you, gents, to introduce yourselves, and then I'll introduce the topics for today's conversation. I'll start with the gentleman to my right.
Yeah, my name is Siphelele Yako, aka Speech, student at Stellenbosch University, majoring in politics and philosophy. Yeah, so
This is gentleman to my left there.
My name is Judas Ladlewova, also a student majoring in sustainable development, the studies of the future. I study the future.
Now, welcome, gentlemen. Hope we have a very, very insightful conversation today. Now, I'm Q, but most people call me Q, and I'm currently studying advanced diploma in public accountability. And I believe that I'm also studying the future, just like you, brother, just like you, just like you. So, just a brief introduction into what Free the Youth is. Free the Youth Africa.
It's our ghost.
Oh, Ghost. Oh, yeah. Ghost. Let's have Ghost introduced to
Nice to be here. It's good to be there. This is your ghost, Amo, behind the scenes, also a student in the university studying sustainable development. Shout out.
Welcome, Ghost Amo. Welcome, Ghost Amo. So just a brief introduction into what Free the Youth is. Free the Youth is a movement, it's an organization, it's initiatives, whatever you want it to be. Essentially, it's whatever you want it to be. It's aimed at protecting the consciousness of African youth and helping unlock that sense of consciousness among ourselves as the youth of today, yesterday, and tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, gentlemen, moving forward, before I introduce the topics, I wanted to ask you, gents, if you saw what NYDA did at the Scorpion Kings event.
No, I did not.
You did not?
No.
What happened, bro?
Hey, bro, they were creating youth opportunities at the event in partnership with Betway.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know if that screams the right message to the youth, but it's just something that shocked me, bro. Because now we are having, it's as if they're enhancing gambling. They're pushing gambling amongst the youth. They're pushing groove culture among the youth.
And gambling is a thing, though.
It is a thing. It is a thing.
It's like people are employed when it comes to gambling.
Yeah.
People are making money with that thing.
Yeah.
I also thought of joining it, man. Because I saw someone make like 4K in
In
less
a
than an
month.
hour. No, less than an hour, though.
But
So-
you remember back then, our parents, they had the problem of gambling. They were addicted. They were gambling addiction. But now gambling is done in a different way. It's still the safety gambling.
But are you like in disagreement with the
very much in disagreement. Very
Why?
much.
why?
Can we have a conversation in episode 4? Episode 4, we have that conversation.
Why?
We're having it now.
With the NYDA.
Sure.
Firstly, for me, the NYDA is part. It's a national body
Yes, sir.
aimed at. It's basically the BEE
Yes, sir.
for the youth.
Of the youth, yeah.
Yes. But now, if you can point me in the right direction and show me this person benefited from NYDA, this person benefited, but they always have their budget always shows that they've spent so much money towards the youth,
But no
but
progress.
nothing happens. Because if you look at most brands in Joburg,
Yes, sir.
most brands, local brands, are funded by your NYDA.
Which is positive, right?
It's a good thing.
Are we?
But now they are saying that they're enhancing creativity amongst the youth. But now everybody is doing brands so that we can eat. Where's the creativity in that?
It's not.
I can have my brand tomorrow and say, hey, I also want to get
Ah,
back
Soon
to
enough that will run stale.
But Mr. Q, we must be able to recognize some positivities even within the small negatives or the negativities that are apparent with this program.
Well,
Because at least they have brands that they are funding
Mm.
and they have people that they are putting into business.
and there's kickbacks from all the brands they're funding. It comes back to them with the benefit. Alleged.
That's something. That's something.
Yes.
Worthy of recognition.
I mean, we can applaud that. I mean, on the other day, the CEO of the NYTA had a presentation for the youth,
Sure.
but it was broadcasted on the news. Do you watch the news?
Nah.
Do you watch the news?
No.
Ghost, do you watch the news? None of the youth members watch the news. They know that today we TikTok people, YouTube. They know how to get to us. But they were announcing stats of youth unemployment, graduation unemployment, and all those things. They were doing it on the news. They were briefing us on new job opportunities on the news.
What do you think about the states, the so-called unemployment states?
What do I think about it?
Yeah.
It's a bad thing, bro.
No, but for me,
But to speak like the positive thing that they are doing
yeah,
in the Eastern Cape, yeah,
Yes.
in terms of unemployment, they are pushing this thing of learnerships, agriculture,
yes,
learnership,
oh,
yeah,
yes.
and also this thing, yeah.
What's the DA?
NYDA.
The NYDA.
NYDA, not DA.
Yeah, I'm just cutting the name short.
It's LXC that side.
No, it's ANC.
That's right. Yeah.
Sure.
But today that's not where our conversation is focused on the NYDA.
Yeah.
But you please give kudos to them while you hear the positive parts that you know.
Yeah.
Because we are only seeing the negative.
Yeah, they are creating employment and they are creating like skills development opportunities,
Okay.
like agriculture, as I mentioned. Yeah, well, some people do not know how to farm,
Can I ask a
and
question?
we do have land for farming.
Oh, yes.
I wanted to ask if
Oh,
we're
yes.
teaching,
Yeah.
they're teaching us to work for the white man or they're teaching us.
There's no white people in this.
This ANC again. It's ANC.
So yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
I get where you come from.
But NYDA, this is your first bash. You're still coming for you in 4 episodes. But for today's episode, since it's episode 1, I have one burning question: what it means to be African. That's where we start, and this will drive the whole podcast into one direction, figuring it out together. Since we want to understand what it means to be African. If I took away being black from you, what makes you African? Because I've seen how our people in SA, we don't have nationhood.
Yes.
Like we hate other Africans.
Yes.
We have weird names, Makweja, Makwerekwere, all these weird Okiri and all these names, you know, we have all these names, but we do not know ourselves what it means to be African.
Yes, sir.
If you take away the blackness from us, I mean, then what's left?
But for me, I feel like the issue of, to go back to, I know this might sound irrelevant or something,
Okay.
but to go back to the question of having these derogatory statements, derogatory names at which we call our fellow brothers. For example, I mean, but that's normal. That's not,
Why do you even call them
respectful, you know? That thing is normal because whenever, even if you can go to Zimbabwe, I'm sure they have a word
To call us.
Okay.
Yeah.
If not Amakwerekwe, it would be something else. It's like other people calling us barbarians. That thing is not like negative or racist or unfair.
But you see, the thing is, sorry to cut you off, it's how it's received by me.
It's how it's received.
Because it's if we keep on saying Makwerekwe, you have this burning hate towards them.
Yes.
Yeah, I also want to say what makes it offensive is where it comes from. Where does it come from? Why do we call them Makwerekwe in the first place?
Because they speak rape. Their language is not. Yeah, it's not
Is that what we call them?
Yes.
So if you didn't know that,
if you check, whenever they speak, the sounds we are hearing are like so. It is us trying to say these people are speaking a foreign language, which is unintelligible to us.
Okay.
It's like barbarian. Barbarian has nothing to do with racism or racial discrimination, but it has everything to do with how they perceive our language. Whenever we speak to them, it sounds like ba 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 ba. So ba ba. You understand?
But can I make an example now of what you say? The word umlungu,
Yes.
the way it was understood by black people. Umlungu, you know, when you say umlungu, we fear the white man.
Yes.
If they say umlungu, you know, your boss is umlungu,
Your Lord.
your lord umlungu.
Yeah.
You see,
And if you break it down, also umlungu is you're in the right. You understand?
okay.
Because I'm gonna go back to the Eastern Cape again.
Oh.
Okay, I don't know if you guys know this. There's a peach, ne? There's no peach. Those peaches that are green.
Yeah.
They never turn pink or they never turn peach or they never turn red.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a peach. We call them peaches toss. Basically, it's toss.
Yeah.
You understand? And then the ones that get big,
Low.
yeah, peaches loom. Chickens, man, chickens. Something as simple as a chicken. The white chicken that gets fed. Example that one.
Yeah.
And then umlekwa, you run away. The one you chase around your house and slaughter it. Ngukes toss. Pots.
But there's nothing wrong with such a way of thinking.
It's just how it's received.
It's just how it is,
How
bro.
we- But how we receive it is the
One of the
problem.
nicer
No,
things
it's a-
being called is a slungu, and
No, there's nothing wrong with
And
that.
that's how it became the
That's
measure
what-
of intelligence.
that's
Because
what-
And you also mentioned that part your boss, you call them umlungu.
Yes, but there's nothing wrong with it, bro. Because umlungu wako vele. Or am I- umlungu wako vele.
Words carry so much meaning. They
Can I
carry so
explain?
much power.
Can I explain?
Yeah, okay.
Whenever you look Nentam, and this thing is very logical, if like we strip away emotions from it and just focus on it as it is, from thinking. Now, the white man sees everything umlungu because he lunging, right? Yes, but if you check our systems, for example, are broken. Our systems are broken.
Okay.
But the systems of the white man are lunging.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing wrong with recognizing this fact as it is. He's alungile. I had to ulunga. No, I'm joking.
We'll be available with that
Sure.
something. But now the conversation, the chat is what it means to be African. Because I remember this conversation I had with somebody that if we were to bring SA into a Pan-Africanist movement, would it succeed?
SA.
Is South Africa is South Africa. Would we succeed in a Pan-Africanism state whereby we work with other African countries?
Yes.
Because I mean, there's this saying that we say South Africa is more south than it is Africa. South Africa, it is original, regional place, bro. We our own people, we have our own. We don't have culture. The South African culture now,
Yeah.
actually, we've lost Africanicity in SA. We hate our fellow Africans. We don't buy from our fellow Africans. We trust the white. Actually, I hate mentioning DJ Smooth's brand every now and then. Mofire. This thing of Mofire and Red Bull, and people still walking past Mofire still buying Red Bull. For me, is just shows how much we as people don't want to support.
Isn't
our
it a
own
matter of preference though?
Is it?
Yeah. I just
Okay.
prefer Red Bull.
You
man, so-
prefer Red Bull?
I'm just saying, no, I'm not saying I prefer Red Bull.
Because I was going to ask why.
No, I don't drink energy drinks at all.
Oh, I also don't. I've supported
But
DJ Spoon. But now I want us to go into the conversation of what it means to be African and I don't know with culture, because we, as you can see, SA today with a lot of inequalities that we have and how they've stripped away culture from, I think we don't even practice cultural stuff anymore.
we don't.
I think so. We do not do it. I mean, in the Eastern Cape, you guys do.
Not only that, you say, I think the Zulus are also like in touch with their culture still.
Oh yeah.
No, not anymore.
You
Not
mean
anymore. What is
KZN
it
is
anymore?
not.
I feel like no.
KZN, Sotho.
Am I wrong?
Sotho is not South Africa.
Am I wrong? We said it by saying I feel like not a single community of Africans in South Africa today practices their culture.
I fully agree.
Am I wrong?
I fully agree.
No single community of Africans today, be it the Zulus, be it Amaxhosa, be it, because why? I feel like most of us remember what our culture is tribal, fundamentally. Now, if we are detribalized as we are today, who still practices our culture then? Because our culture is founded on being tribal.
Yeah.
Not tribalism as in like
A certain tribe practices this and then.
but you must be tribal.
Yeah.
In your if you are to practice your culture. But
Yeah.
now we are detribalized, we are westernized fundamentally, we are Christianized, bro. When you have Africans, even myself, I'm a Christian by faith. And even myself, I would debate to death anyone who says that Christianity is not the fundamental truth. Now, how can I be cultured, yet I embrace the teachings of Christianity as the fundamental truth? And if I'm not tribal anymore, how can I claim to be cultured? That's a fundamental question we need to check.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the conversation again goes back into religion again. Still, that it's fueled by culture, and they've killed the culture they've taken the culture from it. Nobody still practices any of that today. We have. I don't know. I know in some cultures you go to the mountain and have your initiation school, rite of passage. I think KZN they still have when the king goes and chooses a wife and then all those things. They still practice that.
They also celebrate their virgins most.
Yeah, they still do that, but these days It's more westernized, bro.
They are virgins, though.
I'm not gonna say anything to that. I'm not gonna say anything to that.
Yeah.
But since it's still the first episode, we were building up on this conversation because I also want us to touch more onto culture, religion, because my next point of discussion now actually is youth politics.
No, but before, we never discussed what it meant to be African.
Oh, no, none of you just want to answer that question.
We have to,
None of you just.
we have to explore the question.
Yeah.
James. We can't
Okay,
just.
no,
we
this
have to
is
explore the
unit.
question. What does
You
it mean
need,
to be African?
is that what it is?
And also going back to the question of culture and being tribal and whatnot. I'm just being general. I'm not speaking specifics. Obviously, with all rules, there are exceptions, right? So whenever I'm trying to be general, I'm not saying each and every single one of us is no longer cultured. No, we have our culture, which is still live and strong, but generally, as black people, generally speaking, black people in South Africa are no longer based on their cultural roots. This must be explained very well because I'm not saying, by saying we are no longer cultured, I'm not trying to say that each and every one of us have lost their cultural practices and they are now tribalized and westernized and Christianized. No, I'm saying generally, yes. But then going back to the question of what it is to be an African, I think this must be explored, brothers. It must be explored.
Before we go into answering the question, we know that African history is not derived from the knowledge and the wisdom of African civilizations. Instead, it's written by the white man. They tell our stories. We don't have places where we can go and read up on how our chiefs and you know, because I always say this, that we taught the world civilization, but we never credited for that. I had a conversation with Ghost Amo the other day. He was telling me about the pyramids, that it's one mystery that nobody can still solve today. And it's here in Africa. Something is aliens. It's one another mystery that we cannot really attest to and respond to. But for me, if you took my blackness away from me, I wouldn't know what it means to be African. And this is why I'm hoping that the conversations that we have today help me unlock that sense of what it is to be African. So tomorrow when I go outside, you know, I'm proud to say, yeah, I belong to Akibuland, I belong to the nation of Africa. Because I heard you say Ubuntu. Ubuntu. It's just
Unity.
Yeah, that's what we always say when you ask about what makes you African.
It is African philosophy.
Ubuntu.
It is. But it's not still practiced, not still being practiced nowadays. We have diversified everything. The diversity started, you know, easily like between races, because you could see the differences in colors. And then we took it into the house. We took it into our own homes, dividing ourselves as black people. Okay, the Judas is Zulu, I am Tsonga, space, Xhosa. I don't want that. We started doing that, and then we started having classes. Now you have your middle, all those classes. Classicism, if I can say that. We started having that. And now we don't have Ubuntu is it used to be a moral conduct that rejected the idea of choice. You had to love thy neighbor. You had to, when you look to your left and you see someone struggling, you had to help. But today, if something is happening on your left, you look away, bro. It's not his game. His game. So, but yeah, the platform is open, kids. The platform is open.
No, for me, I think the question of being African is not like, I don't think we can be able to answer it correctly or successfully. Because in order to be able to answer this question, you must know the origin of being African, like the origin of Africanity. No one can know that origin. But I feel like we can understand something about being an African by observing the manifestations of being an African. How does our African self, our Africanhood manifest itself? This thing is like intelligence. We can't explain the origin of intelligence, and we can't define what is intelligence, but we can observe the manifestations of intelligence, like language, like writing, like all these other things, which then gives us a clue that, oh, this person is intelligent. Why? Because they can speak fluently, they can write beautiful prose, they can write beautiful poems. But on the question of what is the origin of intelligence and what is intelligence, we can't explain that thing. So I feel this can be applied to the question of What is it to be an African? We must look at the manifestations.
Would you say it's a birthright if you were born in Africa?
It's a responsibility.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
it's a because
Explain me.
Because if it was just a birthright, it means each and everyone who was born in Africa is an African. And that is true. That is true politically, economically, and philosophically. If you were born in Africa, you are an African philosophically. But culturally, that's why now we need to look at we can now separate the people who are you're European, right? You're Asian. Because why? The way your culture manifests itself is different. I don't care, but if you can have whites, blacks, and Asians in the same room, how they behave, how they carry themselves will be different, even if they are coming from the same school or from the same church or all these other social institutions. Their way of acting, their way of responding to reality will be different. Why? Because our actions and behaviors are informed by our culture. So now that's what I'm saying. We can never understand what is it to be an African by using definitions in ways.
It's not a straightforward one way.
That's a problem.
Of African,
but by observing the general manifestations of Africanhood, then we can understand. That's why we said Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a manifestation of something. It is not being African, but your manifestation of your Africanism, or community building, or unity, or communalism, or all these other things that we like mentioning whenever we discuss Africa. These are the manifestations of Africanism, not being an African.
Because I've heard now in modern times there's an African worldview. If you have an African worldview, you can have now you can be Afrocentric. You can see the world from an African perspective. Do you think it's possible to have that if you're South African and you do not know what it means to be, or what it's like to be African? I'm not, again, it's a general statement. It's vaguely said. I'm just throwing it out there, just so you guys can build onto it. Because I know that now at this very moment, no one is going to be able to give a straightforward answer. Being African means
is 1, 2, and 3. But number one, as I said already, I'm sorry for derailing our talk. But number one, I said it is a responsibility. If you are an African, you have a responsibility to ensure that politically, socially, economically, the land of Africa will rise and be strong and powerful enough to be able to compete with foreign lands. That's number one. Number two, you have a responsibility to ensuring that your fellow Africans are respected and are living a quality life. Because that which is good for you is also good for your brother. Responsibility. If you are responsible of ensuring that the world recognizes and respects Africa for being itself, for being Africa. Now it doesn't matter if you're white, black, or yellow, or what, but if you claim to be African, that's your responsibility to ensure that the people, because remember, what is patriotism? Patriotism is the love of your fatherland. It does not begin with the borders or whatnot. It begins in your heart. And this means that you can't be patriotic if you don't love your fellow Africans. You can't claim to be, I love our flag, I love our history, but you don't love your fellow Africans. And how can you love someone if you are not responsible enough to ensure that they enjoy the privileges of life that you yourself are enjoying?
Okay, now let's take all these points that you have and take them to a township environment whereby what it means to be African means poverty, struggle. Again, it's a general statement. When you go into the township, somebody, what is it like being African? Your hunger and Lupego and all those things, rough times. So how do we now instill this and inculcate this into our people to say that this is not what being African means? This is not what you should be, I don't know, agreeing to and say, okay, just cause. Because some people give up because it's like, this is what, I don't believe that God put us here so that you have to suffer. It's not it. But we'll touch on the God conversation episode 5. We speak about religion. But for now, I want to know in the aspect of bringing this into the townships now and saying, okay, no, this is what it means to be African. But all you've ever seen your entire life is this little box that you've been in the whole time. Only thing you know about Africans is that they sell drugs, they human trafficking, you know, all the stereotypes we have about Africans, you know. This one time I was in the taxi and this lady almost flipped. I don't know if this lady was from Zim, who was supposed to close the door, but she didn't notice that the door was still open because she had headphones on. The lady was swearing from the back, and the lady, they must leave.
Because they don't close doors.
Just ask the next person to just close the door. But she was so mad at this lady. And I remember recently there was a protest. I think they were chasing away foreigners from public institutions, public health institutions, because people are tired. Our own people are tired that they're not receiving the same medical treatment that they want, but we want to extend our help to foreign people. And now, if we cannot love what we already have, people we're supposed to be building with. I mean, look at Burkina Faso now. They decided that they are doing what they do. We're looking away. You're like, okay, kudos to you guys. This is engaged. It's none of our business. And I don't know if we've lost Ubuntu as a way of living, or we're just confused going forward. We're just confused. I don't know. I'm waiting for you, Jesus, to tell me what. So we build up onto the conversation of being what it is to be African. Because I want us to link this to youth politics, to understand the notion of politics before we can unite and say to everybody, let's come together and become one in a united front. We need to know what united front we're becoming. We need to have the same ideologies.
You know what the problem? The problem began whenever we defined Africa by the blackness of our skin.
That's what I'm saying. Remove the blackness.
That's number one. That's when the problem began. Because I'll give you another example. There was a history in South Africa where there was colonialism and apartheid and all these things. Do you know what our mistake was? To confuse this history with the issue of color. We thought that all these things were going on because of we were black and they were white.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Yes.
That's number one.
Where was it?
They were not, bro. Color is the least important in this scale of oppression and even to this day we can say, yeah, but the white man, it's not about color, bro. It's about ways of doing it. Because remember, we see how a white man, I'm just using this as an example to show you that the mistake was when we used color to define reality. It is not, bro. Remember, we all are struggling for survival. That's number one. Not for color in anything, for survival. And if a man can do anything to survive, why can't a man kill you for his own survival? Why can't a man enslave you for his own survival? Why can't a man oppress you and exploit you politically and economically for his survival? It has nothing to do with color or race or nothing. But because, remember, we see the system operates on two fronts. The mind and the force. The mind and the force. And the force always comes after they done destroying your mind. Now, to have us thinking about being African is about being black, pigmentation. No, bro. People say being black have nothing to do with your, imagine, he said being black have nothing to do with your skin color. He said not being African. He said being black have nothing to do with your skin color, but your reflection and your mental attitude and how you engage and relate with reality, not your skin color. So imagine, bro, if the man said not being African but being black, which is a color,
Skin tone.
A skin tone. He said, no. Being black has nothing to do with your skin, your pigmentation, but your attitude and how you carry yourself in reality.
That's what makes you a black person.
That's what makes you a black person and an African.
So that's crazy. It sounds to me like I don't know how crazy this is gonna sound, but it sounds like also like validating that word that we used to call people who are black outside and white, Oreo.
Coconut.
What about the coconuts?
Because like it's what you say,
Yeah.
being black is not a skin pigmentation,
Yeah,
but
okay.
it's the way, because there are people who are, you understand,
Black on the outside.
black on the outside, like the skin pigment is black,
Oh,
but the
yes.
mindset is, you
Oh,
understand.
yes. And there are people who are whiter than white.
Hmm.
But will tell you that I'm a black person.
Yeah.
And how they carry themselves is like, okay, they are honest, like they are disciplined to the struggle itself. But they are very white, light skinned.
Okay, before we because this is first episode, I don't want us to go in. This is just the intro. I don't want us to go into deep. But I want to ask now with the burning question before we close off, because I hear that you say colonialism and all that has nothing to do with color. It had nothing to
The color is the least of all these things, because before there was racism, there was colonialism.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yeah, we were not.
Before there was
colonized,
racism,
we were
before there was
colonized.
blacks are inferior, where there was that thing came after to justify the oppression.
So now that's where my question
Who
is
is
going.
the colonizer?
Hey, don't you know the colonizer is?
In this context, the colonizer is anyone in today's context. The colonizer is anyone who is working against your political interests. Whether it's a black man, whether it's a white, yes. Remember what's back in the days, the people, they were, for example, in France, there were two groups, the Catholics and the Huguenots. They were white people. Who was a colonizer? The Catholics. Oppressing everyone.
Ghost Amo, how far are we with this podcast? Because I see we are going somewhere. We're going somewhere. So, gentlemen, I know this was the first episode. We're still getting our feet and our minds into action. So I think this is best if we just close the episode off here. Because I think going into the next episode, I want us to build on a conversation. Going forward, every conversation we have going to build on to what it means to be African.
Okay.
Whether we refer to education, whether we refer to politics, we want to look at it from an African perspective.
Oh, yes.
So we see the world in one view as Africans. With that said, Machita, thank you. Thank you, Ghost Amu. Thank you, Judas. Thank you, Spay.
Yeah.
Shout out.